को अस्य वेद को अस्य वेद प्रथमस्याह्नः 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 को अस्य वेद प्रथमस्याह्नः अथर्वा 18:17 18:17 को अस्य वेद प्रथमस्याह्नः when you split it kaha asya veda prathamasya ahnah kaha asya veda prathamasya ahnah so this is a question which troubles us always. That's about the creation of this universe. Who knows about the first day? That's the direct meaning of it. Ko asya veda prathamasya ahnah. Ahnah is day. Prathamasya ahnah, the very first day. Kaha asya veda, who knows it? The answer is the very same sentence. Kaha also means, one is it is a common interrogative noun. Kaha, who? Kaha also means sukha. So one who is the bliss, he knows it. Kaha Veda, he knows it. Kaha is Ananda Swarupa. Satchidananda is also referred to as Kaha. So about the first day, who knows? It is that Satchidananda who knows it. So question is there, the answer also there in the same sentence. Who knows about the first day? It is a Satchidananda who knows about the first day. Now let us analyze this whole situation. It's very scientific and rational, and we've got hundreds of theories about the creation of the world and universe. And I think what we have got in these Vedas is the best explanation given about the creation of this universe. So where we start? We start with the basic entities. Basic entities. This whole world is divided into basic three entities, and there is no fourth entity. The first one is Sat, the second one is Chit, and the third one is Ananda. Sat, Satchit, Satchidananda. These are the three entities we have got. And these three entities are eternal, without a beginning and without an end. Anadi, Ananta. These are the basic things we have discussed a sufficient number of times. But to recollect again to understand this particular piece of the Veda mantra. So I got three entities, Sat, Satchit, and Satchidananda, and there is no fourth entity. And these three entities, they have been existing. There is no question of creation or destruction with reference to these three entities. They just exist. It's not difficult to understand that. Even in modern science, we speak about such things. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. But is energy there? Yes, it is there. It is just there. Neither created nor can be destroyed. Maximum, what happens is there will be a change in its form. The energy changes from one form to another, but it is neither created nor destroyed. Matter, see the same thing. Matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. Momentum can neither be created nor be destroyed. We have accepted such a phenomena, even in modern science. But here what we have got is the oldest science still holds good. Oldest science still holds good. It has been restricted to three entities, Sat, Satchit, Satchidananda, and these three entities are not created and also cannot be destroyed. They just exist. And since how long it is existing? Not known. How long it will exist? Not known. Anadi, Ananta. No beginning, no end. Now a question comes. Is this a belief? Is this an assumption or is it a fact? But to know things, to understand things, we have got one beautiful system. That is, maybe we start from an assumption. Fine. It may be like this. We don't know. Keeping that assumption in front of us, we try to analyze and understand so many realities around us. And if this one assumption is capable of answering most of our questions and realities, explain most of the facts, then we conclude that it is not just an assumption, but it is a fact, it's a rule. We go back and confirm it. This is one such. In the beginning, we can take it as an assumption, a belief, doesn't matter, and start understanding what happens later if we accept this. Lot of real things, lot of facts will get an explanation. We can understand them rightly. A logical explanation is available for other things. Because this one assumption or inference is capable of explaining so many things logically, then we go back and say it is not just a belief, it's not just an inference, it's a fact. So existence of these three entities is a fact. As a conclusion, we arrive at the end. Sat, Satchit and Satchidananda. Then comes the question, what are their features? Lakshana. What are their features? Sat is inert. It just exists. It has no consciousness. Because it lacks consciousness, it cannot do things on its own. It's just inert. Some other external force has to act upon it and get things done. That inert Sat cannot do anything on its own because it is not having any consciousness. Consciousness is Chetana. Chetana is capacity to understand, capacity to think, capacity to do, the potential to do. That's a Chetana. But that element is missing in that inert Sat. In modern science, that's what we speak of. A body in a state of rest or of continuous motion continues to be in the state of rest or of motion unless acted upon by unequal external forces. Newton's first law of motion. Very clear, very clear. And what is governed by this law is called as an inert thing, without consciousness. And all this that come under Sat obeys this law. They are all inert. Someone has to handle it. Someone has to push it, someone has to pull it, someone has to cut it, someone has to paste it. Some other second entity is required to handle it. It cannot handle itself. It has no purpose. It has no goal. It has no thinking. Nothing. It's just a mass without consciousness. Just a mass without consciousness. If it is in a state of rest, it continues to be in state of rest. For any number of any crores of years, it will be in a state of rest. It is in a state of motion. Yes, it continues to be in a state of motion. It never stops. Some external force has to be applied on it to see that it stops. Otherwise, it keeps on moving and moving and moving. That's the nature of that Sat. That's the nature of that inert thing. That's the nature of that mass. So, this creation, of course, is made up of this mass, but the mass itself cannot get converted into this universe, this order, this world. It cannot. So we need another thing. Of course, this whole universe is made up of this inert thing only. What we call it as Mula Prakriti, the basic raw material. That is the Sat. And that Sat in the very first stage has been transformed into 5 elements. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala, Prithvi. They are the basic 5 elements. It all came out of that one Sat. Now this Sat cannot transform itself into these 5 elements by itself. There should be some other agency which takes care of it. Of course, this is a raw material. There is no doubt about it. This whole world is made up of 5 elements, absolutely no doubt about it. But these 5 elements basically was in the form of Mula Prakriti, the basic one raw material, and that was attached to different properties and functions. So one became Akasha, one became Vayu, one became Jala, one became Agni, one became Prithvi. They are all different. Now these differences were out of that one Mula Prakriti. It cannot happen on its own. Some other agency is required. Okay, next. We have got Satchit. Satchit is one which is having consciousness. Chetana, it's a Chetana. It is also eternal, not created, cannot be destroyed. Chetana. Now this Chetana, this is the second one, Satchit, has got limitations. Has got limitations. Of course, it has got Chetana, of course, it has got consciousness, but using that consciousness, what it can do has got its own limitations and restrictions. It's not omnipresent, it's not omnipotent, it's not omniscient. One basic drawback or one basic limitation of it is this Satchit cannot function without the, repeat, without the help of Sat. By itself it cannot do. It needs an apparatus, it needs an instrument. And that instrument or apparatus has to be made out of that Sat, that inert thing. Without that it cannot. It will be in a dormant state, inactive state. Satchit though it has got the potential of Chetana consciousness, it cannot function on its own without the help of Sat. If Sat is not associated with it, that Satchit, though it has got the Chetana consciousness, it will be in a dormant state. Provided it is given the tool, yes, it becomes active, and whatever consciousness is there, it can function. It cannot function on its own. That's its limitation. Satchit. So because of this limitation, number one. Number two, it is not omnipresent. It's not omnipresent. It's not omniscient. Consciousness is there, but it's not omniscient. It doesn't know everything. It's not a sarvagnya. Sarva, all, jna, knowing. It's not all knowing. It knows, but not all, but not everything. It can do, but not on its own. With tools, it can do. It's very much present, but not everywhere. That's its limitation. So because of these limitations, it's very clear that it cannot create this world or universe. Because it's not neither omniscient, nor omnipotent, or omnipresent. That is required to create this universe. The universe is so huge, so big, and to create it, the capacity of this Satchit is too minimum, too meager, too petty. It cannot. It is very much beyond its capacity. Though it's conscious, that's conscious. Has consciousness, but its capacity is too low to create this universe. Forget about creating this universe. It is not even possible for it to know the expanse of this universe. Forget about creating it. What we know about this universe is too minimum. It's not even a speck. It's not even a speck of the universe. So huge is the universe. So enormous. And another very important thing is this Satchit lacks that third element called as Ananda, bliss. Baglu hakotiya? It doesn't have that element bliss. Ananda. If it were to have Ananda, it should have been in that state always. But no, it's not. It's not in the state of bliss always, because bliss is not its property. It comes in contact with bliss and experiences it, that's fine, but it is not bliss. So we are forced to infer and finally conclude that it's a fact that there is another entity which is the source of this bliss. Bliss is there, we have experienced. We are not denying it. We have experienced bliss, we have experienced that happiness. It exists, but not in us. So to infer a third entity which is Sat plus Chit plus Ananda, Satchidananda. And this Satchidananda is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, and formless. Omnipresence and formless go together. Omnipresence cannot go with form. If anything has got a form, then it cannot be omnipresent. They are contradictory. They are opposites. It's omnipresent, it cannot have form. It has got form, it cannot be omnipresent. It is omnipresent, therefore it is formless. And this third entity is Satchidananda, Sat plus Chit plus Ananda. You call it by any name, we have no objection. You call it as God, you call it as Almighty, you call it as Lord. By any name you call it, we have no objection. That is the third entity. Sat is one entity, Sat plus Chit is the second entity, Sat plus Chit plus Ananda is the third entity. This third entity, Satchitananda, because of its omnipotence, doesn't need any apparatus, any tool for its functioning. To put it in simple words, it can see without eyes. It can listen without ears, which we can't do. We need eyes to see, and even the capacity of the eyes is restricted. Ultra-red to ultraviolet. That's our range. There is ultra-red radiation we cannot see. There's ultraviolet we cannot see. Our eyes fail to see it. Between that range only, that's called as the visible region. Yes, we can see. And the eyes have to function properly. They have to be healthy to see that. If something wrong with the eyes, we cannot see even that, even in the visible region. Or even if we see, maybe what is closer we can see, what is farther we cannot see. Short sight. Farther we can see, shorter we can see long. So many problems are there. We cannot see without an apparatus. That is the eyes. Eyes is inert. And the one which is seeing behind it is the soul. This is Satchit. Satchit needs a tool, Satchit needs an apparatus to function. Whereas Satchidananda is omnipotent and it doesn't depend upon any tool whatsoever. That's the example I was giving. It can see without eyes, it can listen without ears. Everything. Not in the audible region, not in the visible region. There is no such region for it. It can listen everything, all frequencies. It can see all frequencies, but doesn't need an apparatus like eyes or ears. It can do things without limbs, without fingers. There is no question of moving at all because it's omnipresent. So there is no need for legs to it. It's everywhere already. So when I understand the properties of these three entities, Sat, Satchit and Satchidananda, now we can understand this piece of the Veda mantra well now. Now the first one, Sat, inert. No consciousness, no Chetana, it's Achetana. That which is Achetana has got nothing to do with happiness, bliss or anything. Because it doesn't have that experiencing element, inert. So whether a particular situation is happy or unhappy, comfortable or uncomfortable, blissful or not blissful, is immaterial to it. Because it's just a material, it's inert. Any situation, any condition is okay for it. Because it has no experience. It has no soul in it. It has no consciousness in it. And coming to Satchidananda, the other end, that is a source of bliss. Satchidananda, it has got Ananda in it. It's always blissful. No worry, no tension, no anxiety, no sorrow, no unhappiness. It's omnipotent. It is omniscient, it is omnipresent, formless, and is always in a state of bliss. Bliss itself is that. Or nothing it needs nothing. Because everything is in it. Tadantarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasasya bahyataha. Everything is in it and it is in everything. There is nothing that it has to get. Everything is in it. If required, okay, if required, it can do it. It can have it. Because all the raw material is under its control. It can do whatever it wants. It can create. Now that omnipotence has to be understood as it can create, it can do without any aid, without any tool. That's omnipotence. It doesn't need any tool, it can do. Whatever it wants to do, it can do without the help of any tool or apparatus. No paraphernalia is required for it. That's omnipotence. And it is always blissful. Bliss itself is that. Now the question is with Satchit. Satchit have experienced bliss now and then. Now they are once again in search of that bliss. Every Satchit, every soul, we are all after that bliss. We are searching for it. We are trying to find it out in this, that, and everything. Every one of us, we want bliss. Because that's the best experience that we can have. And we have had it. We want that. But we are not able to create it or get it on our own. We need some tool to temper our soul. And once the soul reaches a certain level, okay, tool is not required, it can experience bliss straight. But the soul is not bliss. It doesn't have that element bliss. It has to get in contact with something where there is bliss, and that is Satchidananda. And this contact with Satchidananda to the soul will not happen as it is. It's not automatic. The soul has to strive for it, has to work for it. What is that process? To experience that bliss, the soul has to be strong. If it's not strong, it cannot experience it, though it is given. It has to be pure because it fails to experience bliss if it's not pure. There are pollutants. It's a bad conductor of bliss. It has to be a good conductor of bliss, that is, when it is pure. There are so many pollutants in the form of unwanted desires, in the form of jealousy, in the form of anger. They're all pollutants in the soul. As long as these pollutants are there in the soul, it cannot experience bliss. It has to overcome all those things and get rid of them, and then it becomes pure, and that pure soul gets the capacity to experience bliss for a long time, continuously. Otherwise, in flashes it experiences. But we are not happy with that. We want it for a long period, again and again. That's our search. Now this Satchidananda, which is omniscient, has worked out a beautiful plan. Call it as cosmic plan if you want, a divine plan, whatever it is. It has created this universe for the sake of Satchit using Sat. I repeat, this Satchidananda has created this whole universe, an atom to a Milky Way. It has created this big universe using Sat. the inert thing, for the sake of Satchit. For the sake of Satchit. And it has established so many rules and regulations and systems in it. Now, what's the purpose of it? The purpose is for the Satchit to work and make its soul pure and strong. It is required for the Satchit. Satchit cannot purify itself without anything. It needs a system. Using that system, yes, it can purify itself, it can strengthen itself. And once it can strengthen itself and purify itself, it becomes closer to the experience of the bliss. And that's its search. It wants to experience bliss. For that, it has to strengthen itself, purify itself. For that, it has to work and needs a tool. And that tool is given to it in the form of this whole universe and the systems in it. The laws in it. The physical laws, the psychological laws, and the spiritual laws. All these are provided, established to assist the soul, that is Satchit, to work in this environment and to gain its strength and purity and become closer to the experience of bliss for a long period. Now this whole universe was created. Not the raw material, I repeat once again. The raw material is not created, Satchit is not created, Satchidananda is not created. But using Sat, this whole system was established and created. And that was the first day. And who knows about it? Now, given this explanation so far, now it's very clear that who knows about that first day which was created? Yes, the only answer is Satchidananda, nothing else. Because that was the cause of this whole creation. And the creation, what it has done is so flawless, is so perfect. And that's the result of its omniscience. Because it's omniscient, it could do that. It is so perfect and well organized, systematic. No flaw, no lacuna, no shortcomings. It is so perfect. And from day one to day last, it runs and runs and runs. And because it's made out of these inert things, this whole system is not eternal. Because that's the nature of that Sat. It has been integrated into this universe. Sat has been used to integrate this universe, and what is integrated one day will disintegrate. Again, it has to be integrated. That's the nature of that Sat. Whatever arrangement is there, whatever integration is there, that's created using the Sat will disintegrate over a period. Not a small period, crores of years. For crores of years, it will disintegrate. And that is what we call it as Laya or Pralaya. And establishing of it is Srishti. And the whole system runs for crores of years. That's called as Sthiti, Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. And these three, Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, is definitely under the control of that Satchidananda. And Satchidananda alone, nobody else. So who knows about the first day of this universe? It is Satchidananda. And who knows about the last day of it? It's the same thing. Because that is the one which created this whole system. The raw material for the system is not created. I repeat once again. The raw material for the system is not created. It was eternal. Using that eternal raw material, the universe was created, the system was created, the laws were created. And the one who created knows it. It knows the first day, it knows the last day. It was the only one which presided the very first day of creation. That was the one which presided. Now, what's the name given to that word in Vedas? Presided? Adhyaksha. Adhyaksha. A loose translation of it in English is president. But actual meaning is Adhyaksha. In its presence, in its witness, it was done. Adhyaksha. So the Adhyaksha of the very first day of creation was one, and that was Satchidananda. And this word also is not mine. In Rigveda, we have got what is known as Nasadiya Sutta, which discusses in detail about the creation of this world. There this word is used, Adhyaksha. It is Satchidananda which was the Adhyaksha, which was a witness for the creation of the first day. Not only witness, that was the cause for this creation, that created this universe and was a witness for it. So who knows about the first day? It is that one Satchidananda. There in Nasadiya Sutta it says, if anybody else other than this Satchidananda says that I know about the first day, if anybody claims that I know about the first day, either it's a lie, or he is ignorant. That's what it says. Because nobody else can know. But that's Satchidananda, about the first day of creation. Because that's the cause of that creation. Why it created? Answer is then. It created for the sake of Satchit. Because without that creation, without that tool, without that environment, the Satchit cannot work, cannot function. What function? To increase its strength and purity. Why? For to experience bliss. That is its thirst. That is its search.
So Sharmaji, if you don't mind repeating the last minute, it got completely cut off.
A little louder, please. A little louder.
Would you mind repeating the last minute? It got very cut off and I couldn't hear you.
Last sentence?
The last couple sentences, I couldn't hear you.
Okay. I'll repeat.
Thank you.
Okay. So this creation was by that Satchidananda. That is the cause for integrating all these things. The raw material of it is that Sat. And that was the only witness for the first day of creation. That was the only entity which could understand, which could do this. And from there, the first day began. Now, on that day, of course, Satchit, we were there. So for our sake, only this whole universe was created. That's fine, we were there. But we are not able to know it. Because to know, we need a system. We are in a state where no system was there, where we could not see, where we could not understand, where we could not think, but we are there in a dormant state. Now, once this whole system was created, and when we, that is Satchit, got this Sharira Indra Manas made out of Sat, yes, we started understanding, we started knowing. But it was given to us by that Satchidananda. That was the first day. And that is called as Srishti. And we say creation, that is the creation of the system. The raw material for this system is not created. That is eternal. That is Sat. That's an entity. Now, this was created under the very watchful and omniscient eyes of Satchidananda. And that was called as Adhyaksha. That's the word what it uses in that Nasadiya Sukta of Rigveda, where they discuss about the creation. Adhyaksha. Adhyaksha in its very presence. Adhyaksha in its very presence. With full knowledge of what is happening. The one who knows everything and in whose presence this whole thing happened, that is called as Adhyaksha. It happened in our presence, but we are not able to know it. We are part of it. We are part of the creation. The whole creation was for us only, but we are not able to comprehend it. We are not able to understand it because we are in a dormant state. And of course, the inert things are always in a dormant state. They are inert. It doesn't have consciousness. It was also there. We were also there, but we are not able to know things. Because to know, we need an apparatus. And this is the state where apparatus is yet to be created. It's not created. It has to be created for the first time. Once this apparatus and system is created, yes, we start knowing. We start understanding. It's a pre-understanding period for us. Pre-understanding period. The pre-understanding starts later. Now this condition is a step before that. So we could not know. Inert things cannot know. And the only one which knows about this whole process is that Adhyaksha called as Satchidananda. That's what the sentence says in the Nasadesik. If anyone claims that I know it, if anyone claims that I know it, either is a fool or is telling a lie. Because it's a pre-creation period. It's a pre-creation, pre-understanding period. The person cannot understand. To understand what they need itself is not there. How they can understand? So they are either telling a lie or is a fool. Is ignorant of things. So who knows it and who is telling the truth? And there is only one entity called Satchidananda that is giving us the truth. That is telling us things because that was responsible for his whole creation. Now this we have to think and analyze and clearly comprehend this. And only when you understand this very clearly, yes, we will be able to know why this creation was done, what is the purpose of this creation, and what is our role in this creation. Everything we will be able to understand. That's the basic thing. This creation didn't happen automatically. It was a willful, it was a worked out creation, planned creation. It's not random. Who planned it? It was Satchidananda. Answer is there. It was Satchidananda. How do you understand Satchidananda? As the very name suggests, it's the one which exists and which is a super consciousness and is bliss. It's a combination of three, Sat plus Chit plus Ananda. And it's the same for all. It is one and is same for all. For you also it's the same Satchidananda. For me also it's the same Satchidananda. It is one and only one. And it is formless because it is omnipresent. Because it is omnipresent, it is omniscient. Because it is omniscient, it is omnipotent. It's all the different features of it. And I got one such entity. A very, very important thing here is whether we recognize and understand this entity Satchidananda or not, it exists and things happen. It doesn't depend upon our accepting it. It doesn't depend upon our approving it. It doesn't depend upon our knowing it. Whether I know it or not, whether I accept it or not, It exists and things happen. It is independent of our acceptance or knowing. Now that which is independent of our knowing or accepting is what is called as objective. It's objective in nature. It's not subjective. It doesn't depend upon me for its existence. It's the other way around. I have to depend on it for my existence. It's objective in nature. Now the right word for objective is Satyanistha, Vastunishtha. Can use any of those words. Vastunishtha or Satyanistha. It stands on its own. It stands on its own. Another word for it is Swayambhu. This is all the words what we get in the Vedas. Swayambhu. It lives and stands and exists on its own strength. Just because I say it is there, it is not there. Just because I know it is there, it is not there. Just because I say, okay, let it be, so it is there. No. Even if I say, let it not be, it will be there. It's independent, purely independent. It stands on its own quality, its own strength. That is Swayambhu. That's the word what they use. Now this Swayambhu, using that Sat, that inert matter, created this universe for the sake of Satchit, the souls, you and me. And that is the only one which could understand, which could know, which could be witness to the very first day of creation. After the creation, yes, we became active. We were activated. We are in a dormant state. We were activated only after the first day of creation. Pre-creation, we were dormant. We never knew. We were in dark. Because we had no apparatus to know, apparatus to see, apparatus to think. And inert was there, inert things were there, but they lack consciousness. They lacked consciousness. We were conscious, but dormant, in a state of sleep. So what happened, we never knew. The only one which was active, then, now, always, was the Satchidananda. The one which was omniscient, which was omnipotent, which was omnipresent, was that only one entity, Satchidananda. And the Satchit and Sat were totally, I repeat, were totally under its mercy, under its control. Sat was there, Satchit was there, but they are totally under the control of that Satchidananda, which was omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent, and formless. That, using its two things, one was Sat and another Satchit, after recognizing the force in Satchit which wanted to experience bliss, that nature of the Satchit, using this Sat, it created this whole universe for the sake of Satchit, so that it can work in it and gain its strength and purity to experience bliss. This is a whole system. It's a whole structure. And this whole structure was created, was meditated by the Satchidananda. And we are totally in a state of sleep. Supta sthiti. In a state of sleep, we knew nothing. Because to know, we need apparatus. That apparatus is not created. It's a pre-creation state. You have to understand this very clearly. So when you speak of the first day of creation, yes, there is only one which knew about it. There was only one which witnessed it. There's only one which meditated upon it, and that was the Satchidananda, and Satchidananda alone. Though other Chetana was there, that's we. Our Chetana was not active. It was inactive. In a state of inactivity, we cannot understand what happened. The whole activity started from the very first day. And a lot of things have gone before that first day for the creation of this whole system. And the whole system of creation was switched on and it started working. And that was the first day. And we started looking into things from that first day. And what happened on that first day, the very moment, we never knew. After it was created, yes, we are able to know things. It's a pre-creation stage, pre-creation phase. And who did it? We don't know. Or who did it? It was only Satchidananda, and we never knew. None of us we knew it. So the one who had a very, very clear idea about the first day was only that Satchidananda. If you understand creation of this whole universe in this fashion, yes, it is very scientific and rational, and it can explain so many, it can answer so many of our questions, not otherwise. All questions will be answered. Why this was created? This was created for the sake of Satchit. What was the raw material for this? It was Sat. And who created Sat? Sat was not created. Satchit was not created. Satchidananda was not created. It was there. It just existed. How long? Anadi. Till which day? Ananta. We don't know. That's a fact. That's a fact. All the three were there. They had their own different features, they had their own different properties. And upon that, Satchidananda created this universe using Sat for the sake of Satchit. Now, all questions will get answered. And all things have an explanation from then onwards. Now, because this belief or because of this inference is capable of answering so many realities in the world, finally we conclude that it's not just a belief, it's a fact and it's a reality. Go back and say. To begin with, we say it is an assumption, assume like this and proceed. Let this be a postulate, let this be an axiom. We are not proving it now, you just take it and proceed. And because it has got the capacity to answer all the other questions later, we go back and say it is a fact and it's a reality. It's no more an inference, it's no more just an assumption. It's beyond that, that's fact. So this is how we have to understand, this is how we have to learn. And this is the learning process. It's a learning process. Then, now, and even future also. Even now, if you have to conclude whether a certain thing is a fact or not, this is the same procedure what we are following. We start with an assumption, let it be like this, and proceed further. And finally, because it's giving a lot of results, we go back and say the assumption what we started is a fact, and we conclude it. That's how we do it. Everywhere, you take it science, you take it physics, you take it mathematics, you take it anywhere. We start, let it be like this. That let is the beginning point. And finally, we remove that let and say it's a fact. If all future things are answered, if all realities are explained, you say, because it all started with that let, and because of that let, we could get all these results. Therefore, we remove that let and say that is the truth. That's a theorem. That's a fact. That is a siddhanta. That is a conclusion. The conclusion is the one what is started as let, now it is proved that it is the truth. Of course, it starts from let. That's true. That's true. We also start from the opposite of that also. Let it not be like this, then what will happen? If it's not like that, so many questions remain unanswered. But if it is like this, it answers so many questions. Therefore, the one which answers all those things, though we started with as let, now that let is removed, and that is a fact, and that's a theorem, that's a conclusion. This is a procedure what we do for learning. That's the learning procedure. The same thing, the very first learning procedure is there in the Vedas. It follows the same systematic and rational method. That's it. We'll start, and finally we conclude. And it was Satchidananda which created this whole universe, and that is the only witness for the very first day of creation. And from that day, crores of years have passed, and crores of years are pending to pass. And one day this whole thing will collapse, because it's an integrated structure. The integrated structure, when it runs, at one point or the other, it gets disintegrated. And what happens? The same creation is again done. Surya Chandra Maso Udhata Yatha Purvam Akalpayat. That's another Veda mantra. It says this whole creation, once it collapses, will be created again as it was created earlier, with the same systems, the same rules, the same framework. And it continues. So it's a very big cycle of crores of years of Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya. It's a big cycle. And each state of Srishti or Sthiti or Laya is into crores of years. And on this over, again Srishti, again goes on. How long? Unending. When it started rolling, we don't know. No beginning. It's beyond our comprehension. So whatever is said in the Vedas, we just take it and say, okay. And we can rely upon it. We can rely upon it because it is capable of answering most of our queries. It's capable of answering our queries. Because it has that capacity, though we start it as let, we say finally that is the truth and conclude. That's how Vedas become ultimate proof for everything in the world. For everyone. It's not for you, it's not for me, it is for all human beings. Whatever queries we have, whatever questions we have got, yes, all will be answered by that. So that is the ultimate proof for us. No discrimination whatsoever. It's very unfortunate some traditional orthodox people restrict it, but that's not true. It just shows their ignorance. Vedas are for all. Veda means knowledge. Knowledge of this universe is for every inquirer in this universe. Everyone who wants to know, yes, it belongs to that person. They can research, they can understand, they can think, analyze, and have their share of truths. It's open for all. No restriction. No restriction on the basis of caste, creed, race, nationality, gender, nothing. It's open for all. And that is Vedas. And if you really understand what is said in that and understand the whole life in its real perspective, in the correct perspective, yes, we can be happy and we can make the whole life around us also happy. The whole world can become a peaceful, wonderful place to live in. It's not a utopia. It's not an utopia. It's not imagination. The only things we have to understand and put it into practice. It will happen. To whatever extent we put it into practice, to that extent this whole world will become a paradise. More you put, more it will be. More we apply, more peaceful we can be. Should this be believed? No. Study it. Understand. If it is true, take it. That's the capacity, that's the, the potential of the Vedas to create a beautiful and better, peaceful world, blissful world. Okay, thank you for the day.